Hello, it's Cornelio with Maze Mechanical. Today I want to talk about the workforce and also one of my favorite things, the scientific method. The scientific method, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that, um, is basically a methodology of answering questions, solving the mysteries of the universe, right? But the scientific method, how I understand it, is that number one, you make an observation. And number two, you ask a question about that observation, which leads to a hypothesis. And then you conduct an experiment regarding the hypothesis. You collect the data and analyze it, form a conclusion, and then sometimes you go back to the drawing table to adjust your hypothesis or your observation or a new observation. And you can also set it for peer review. Say, well, hey, this is what I found, and you send it to others to get their opinions, right? So that's kind of why I make videos. Why I do this, it's pretty straightforward. I feel like regular guys like me, regular contractors, we need an advocate. We need someone who's outspoken enough or unafraid to put themselves out there, to ask questions. Um, I can tell you that a lot of times it's intimidating to be in the circles and to ask these questions, but someone has to do it. And I'm hoping that I can get more contractors to believe in this the way I am. But that being said, regarding the workforce and the skills gap, using the scientific method, here's what I came up with. Right. So, what is the observation? There's a low adoption rate of heat pumps. So that that is something that we've all observed. It is gaining momentum, but in Colorado, we're not where we should be. I think there should be wider adoption. So, is there is there evidence? Is the hypothesis that I'm trying to form is is there evidence that it's a skills issue, or is there evidence that it's a workforce issue? Right. So how do we test that? Um, One way that I was testing to see if it's a workforce issue is that one was simple. We just poll the local parts houses, the distributors, and say, well, on an average day, how many furnaces and traditional condensers are going out? The answer is there's hundreds, right? So that means that there's dozens or even hundreds of potentially thousands of ACs and furnaces being installed daily. So that would tell you that the workforce is there. They're just not putting in heat pumps, right? So the other part of the question is then, is it a skills gap? Is it a skills issue? Are legacy contractors just incapable? Are they a liability? Do they not want to do this? Do they not understand it? Is it too much of a barrier? And to test this hypothesis, actually consider the energy companies that are out there, the startups, the companies that are a little bit newer in the Colorado market, or the startups that are focused on electrification and basically their GCs, and I've actually polled a lot of them as well and inquired into their processing, and I was skeptical, but I can tell you this: the most of these companies are doing good work. They understand the process, they understand electrification, they understand how to size heat pumps, they understand how ductwork flow is, and how to check to see if what tonnage you can put on. Um, and there's a lot of tools available that makes it super easy. So I think that would pretty much prove that it's not a skills issue, because if you can take someone with a climate science degree and teach them how to sell and size heat pumps properly within a few weeks, and and we see that with all the energy companies that are there that are actually doing good work and they're doing it appropriately. I don't think it's a skills issue. I think it's just more of an accessibility issue, or an adoption issue, or maybe a trust issue. Contractors that have been doing this for a while, maybe they just don't want to buy into it just yet until they see it, kind of proven in the market first. Because after all, it is our name, it's our reputation on the line, right? I myself had to put over 20 years, and you need at least 8 years to get licensed fully commercially and stuff like that. And it's a lot to risk on something that's unproven. If my reputation tanks, or something goes wrong with the processing, I'm done. I'm cooked. I have to do something else, right? I don't know. I haven't really thought about what I'd do if I didn't do HVAC. I don't really like corporate life, but anyway, companies are doing good work. Startups are doing good work. Their process using Amply and Conduit and uh, TEC, TrueFlow grids, all of those things make it super easy. If you're committed to developing the understanding, blower door testing, stuff like that, all of that makes energy science easy and accessible. So it's not a skills issue. I really think that it's just, my conclusion is that we probably, like, we analyze the data, we take those two things into account that I just spoke of, and the conclusion that I come up with is that it's just a trust gap. The It's not a skills gap, really. It's more of just, we got to get contractors, regular contractors, the guys that are buying dozens of units per day and just sticking with traditional ACs. We have to get them bought into the process and get them believing in the science of it all. And I don't have an answer to that. I just think that's the observation part where I'm putting it to peer review, because I can give you the contractor perspective, but I can't necessarily do the outreach for you. I honestly don't have time, because I still have to go do installs. I got to go meet my team right now on an install, but this was a pressing thought to me, so I thought I'd get it out. Um, but that being said, you know, everything's an opportunity. We should be taking more consideration into, how to bridge these gaps. And my take might be slightly controversial, and I appreciate everyone that listens to me and entertains my rants. um, I do believe in heat pumps. I can tell you that. I also believe in transparency, and I believe that this initiative, the heat pumps in Colorado, needs more of. um, I can also tell you this: whether or not you want to see me as credible, or believe in what I'm saying, or even entertain what I'm saying, maybe you just want to dismiss me. I can tell you this though: I'm never afraid to be wrong. So if the science is there and the things that I spoke about, if you can prove me wrong, please do show me the way. Right? I am never afraid to be wrong. That's one. The other is that I've probably installed more heat pumps than you. So if you want to talk about who's a true believer, you know, I am your guy.